Hey guys, Phil Cook, avid simmer, CFI, CFII here. I wanted to talk about VR, more specifically the Quest 2. I originally had the Quest 1, I had or not the Quest 1, I had the Rift 1, I had the Rift S, and the Rift S was my daily driver. It's a good cost per performance compromise, and I really like the Rift S. But once the Air Link came out for the Quest 2, I decided to go ahead and give it a try. And so I've been using this as my main daily VR headset for flight simming on X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator for the past, I think like, what's it been, like 4 or 5 months now? And I wanted to give you some insights on what I've experienced and some of the issues I've had and some of the good things I've experienced with this headset. So I originally bought it and it had the stock strap on it, and I had I spent the money for was it the Pro strap, I believe it's called. And after a while, around the ridge of the Pro strap broke, and so I had to get rid of it, and I decided to get this Halo strap off of eBay, or not eBay, Amazon. I got it off Amazon for just like 40 bucks, and I love it. I love it. It adjusts perfectly, it slides right on and keeps pretty snug for the adjustments for the front and back. And, it's got the regular type Halo adjustments like the Rift S has, that I think is perfect for me. It's so comfortable. It sits at the base of the back of my skull. It doesn't sit kind of like just on the top of the back, which makes it a little uncomfortable. So definitely a must get. I've got the protective cover here. I've got the silicone cover here, plus the eyeglasses spacer. I also have the protective spacers for glasses. And what that does is basically it stops your glasses from scratching the actual lenses, which actually happened to my Rift S, and I had to like get it redone in order to get rid of those scratches, which can be a little annoying. I went with, instead of the actual, the official link cable, I'm using I believe it's the Insignia. Yeah, the Insignia cable. It's just slightly cheaper, but works just fine for me. My motherboard, despite being a newer motherboard, only didn't come with a Type-C connection. It just came with USB 3.1 and 3.0 connections. So I actually got to connect to my computer this little guy off of Amazon. It's a USB Type-C, the USB 3.1 standard type, and it works just fine. I had to change out my motherboard because my last motherboard had some issues, and I was connected via USB USB Type-C, and I don't see any difference in latency or anything like that. So it seems to work just fine. So I wanted to talk about, as a avid flight simmer, some of the goods and bads of using the Quest 2 and versus the Rift S. If you're like me and you're interested in that, in looking at that upgrade, maybe this information might help you out. So I had the Rift S, and I enjoyed the Rift S, but some of the issues I got was, the resolution could be a little hard on flight sims. Flight sims, look good on the overall world when you're flying in VR, but sometimes you'll find things like text and small numbers pretty hard to read. So the Quest 2 was like a little step up. The visual quality is a lot better. You can definitely see the difference. It's like night and day. It's still a little hard to read some of the really small text. Like if you're looking at some of the numbers on some airplanes, say for your engine percentage and stuff like that, it can still be a little hard to read. You might have to get a little closer. Same thing if I use some in-game charts that work in VR, like AviTab. I'll use my Navigraph charts there for my approaches and stuff. Sometimes I'll have to zoom in a little bit in order to get good quality images and to be able to read the small numbers. But otherwise, it's not that big a deal. I don't have to get super close. It's just, it might be here, and I have to get a little bit closer to make out those numbers. It can be a little bit of a strain on the eyes. I only get this in flight sims When I play other games, I don't have that problem. I don't know if it's just the higher resolution or the unoptimization of flight sims right now are still, even though X-Plane VR's been out for a bit, I still get that. So I don't know. Maybe it's something they'll fix in the future, or maybe I just need a higher resolution. Maybe if you had like the Vive or one of those with the higher resolution screens, it may be easier to read. But for me, it can be a little hard. I've had some people say that it's a little blurry and a little hard for them to focus, and so it might be their what they call it, the IPD or something like that. But otherwise, it's worked well for me. I haven't had too many issues with the IPD and overall clarity versus the Rift S going to the Quest 2. What I have had issues with has been purely technical issues that apply strictly to the Quest 2. So the reason you would want to go with the Quest 2 like I did was the price is great. I like the concept of the new Air Link, which is why I got it, and I love the concept of it being a standalone device. So if I want to use it for something else to play a game, I don't have to unplug it or plug it into another computer or run a huge cable around my place in order to play a different VR game. I can just simply unplug it, stream wirelessly, and get that same experience or play a game on it since it's a standalone device. And that really appealed to me. I got my unit used from a local guy for just literally like $100, and you really can't beat the price. If you're looking for a budget headset, it really is the best budget headset that's out there. But some of the issues I've had pertain, I think, mostly to flight sims, because I haven't really seen these issues in other games. So one of the big issues I have is flight sims generate a lot of information, and thus I have been unable to maintain charging while flight simming. So if I am on a short flight of maybe an hour or two, it'll be at 100% when I start, and when I finish my flight, I might be at like around 20 or 30%. And so I attempted to connect it to I have a USB hub that's a powered USB hub, and I still get the same thing. So I think it's no matter, unless they come up with a quick charging and data transfer solution that I haven't found yet, be aware that you have that issue. If I'm on like a really long haul flight where I'll actually shut it down and allow it to charge off of the USB port, or I'll actually unplug it and plug it in when I'm tethered. The reason I keep it tethered when I'm flight simming is because I found that in certain cases I'll have issues with the wireless or the Air Link capability. For example, if I found that I've gotten micro stutters or lags because it's not connected directly to a display port. It actually streams the data to your headset. I've actually had times in which the headset itself will lag. When I'm tethered, I don't get that lag. So it's almost like it's buffering and then it goes. And I have a pretty beefy system. I run, like an AC, the Nighthawk router. I've got like 200 megabytes per second for cable network, cable internet, and all that stuff. And I'll still get between my computer and the headset when it's via AirLink. I'll get like a stutter or like a slight pause, and then it'll go and it'll act nice and smooth. So there's some streaming buffering going there, and it's especially presented when you're doing like whatchamacallit, VAT sim or on multiplayer. It's completely. I've had nothing but issues when it comes to doing it on VAT sim. I think maybe because VAT sim is just using up so much more network and processing power, I'll actually get like complete audio breakdowns. So audio on their end will come in okay, but then I'll start getting choppiness, and I'll get audio issues transmitting out as well. So I've been unable to use it fully while on VAT sim and flying in the wireless mode. Next is I've had an issue where I've had to unplug it and plug it back in when tethered, because for some reason they have this stupid like allow access screen, and I've had a couple of times in which I have turned on the unit, it's come up and then it disappears, and then I can't connect it to my computer when it's tethered. I've had to physically go behind my computer, unplug it, plug it back in, and then it works. It's another strange thing. I don't know why it does that sometimes, and it's completely random. It'll do it. I think it's something about safe state mode or something like that. I don't know. It could be a power issue with my USB hubs and all that stuff. I don't know why, but it'll do that once in a while. But I have gotten more stability because of the streaming. I've had some times in which the Rift S, when switching, especially in X-Plane, between this monitor and between VR, in which it will just completely crash my sim. And with this, I've yet to have that happen. So I think, the display port switching and all that stuff causes issues, where with the streaming concept, it hasn't caused any issues. I mean, otherwise, it's been a somewhat positive experience. These little things, like having to turn off the headset in order to let charge in long flights, can be a little annoying. Or having to take it off completely and put it on its quick charger in order to get it to charge quickly is a little annoying. But, otherwise my experience has been relatively positive. Personally, if you're still looking for a system if you're still looking for a VR headset and you still have an older system, because I'm running an 11900K and a 3080 Ti, and with heavy orthos, I run enhanced cloudscapes with active sky. On average, I'll get between, in my most densest areas like LAX, or New York, I'll get maybe like about 30. The low end, I'd say maybe about 25 frames per second with my relatively maxed and high settings. But I'll get a few above that with the Rift S and its higher and its lower resolution. So you may want to consider just using that if you don't want to deal with the headaches of the tethering and the headaches of wireless. I would still recommend the Rift S as a good budget but yet still competent headset to use in VR for flight sims. If you have the money, I've heard some good things about the Vive Pro, and now they've come out with this crazy like 5K headsets, 4K headsets, and they sound great and dandy. But if your system can barely handle a 2K and keep it above 20 frames per second, why would you even want to waste your time with a 4K headset? Because it's gonna run like garbage, or you're gonna have to put your settings way down for it to run at any reasonable frame rate. And if you watch a lot of the videos from how to set up your computer from like Laminar, they say a good number to look for is about 30 frames per second for a smooth experience. In VR, typically around 20 to 25 frames I find to be a good smooth, or even around 25 frames per second is a good smooth experience in VR for me personally. When I'm on my screen, that typically translates. I run a 1440p ultra wide, and that typically gets me about 50 to 60 frames per second. But as soon as I put on that VR with those same settings, it'll drop down to about 30 to 25 frames per second. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for a new headset, or if you're interested in upgrading to that the Quest 2 or to the HTC Vive or the Valve Index. Yes, they will look good, but your sims are going to run like crap. So be careful of that when you're looking at the kind of performance per dollar per experience that you might have. If you guys got any other questions, or you want me to do any other videos, feel free to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what issues you may have had. I still use it as my daily, but the issues have been noticeable enough to where it can get a little frustrating. So we'll see how long that'll last, and I'll talk to you guys later.